We got home from vacation and found our yard turned into a Zen garden. Rocks, bamboo, sand patterns. Our dog was gone. So was our patio set. Our neighbor claimed she'd reclaimed the energy flow. I lost it. She said, "You were gone too long. The earth needed balance." I called the police. She called it a gift. The officer told me I'd have to file in civil court. And that's when I noticed my lawn was listed on Airbnb as a private outdoor retreat, booked solid for the next 4 weeks. We got back from vacation late on a Sunday. My wife was asleep in the passenger seat. Max, our old retriever, wasn't with us. He was supposed to be in our backyard, waiting. I'd arranged everything before we left. Our neighbor across town, Glenn, had agreed to check on him every day. Fresh food, water, a long evening walk. We'd even paid him in advance. I pulled into the driveway and hit the brakes. "What the hell?" My wife jolted awake. At first I thought I'd turned onto the wrong street. Then I saw our mailbox, the one with the dent from when a delivery van backed into it last winter. This was our house. But everything around it? It wasn't ours anymore. The lawn was gone. Not mowed. Not patchy. Gone. In its place was a layer of fine white sand, raked into curving, hypnotic patterns. Flat stones lay in deliberate rings. There were footpaths made from bamboo slats. Someone had built a small wooden arch where our mailbox used to stand. It looked like a damn spa commercial. There was incense burning near the front step. That's when it hit me, this wasn't a prank. This was real. I got out of the car. Took 2 steps into the sand before stopping. I looked around like maybe I'd find a hidden camera crew. My wife stepped out, just as stunned. Her mouth hung open. "Where's Max?" she said, her voice sharp. I broke into a jog, sprinting around the side of the house to the backyard. Our fence was gone. Our grill was gone. The patio furniture? Gone. Instead, there was a canopy made from tied branches and cloth, 2 rolled yoga mats, a small circular fire pit with lava rocks, and a white ceramic Buddha where my smoker used to sit. No sign of Max. I turned back toward the house and saw her. Amber. She lived next door. Barefoot as usual, wearing a long beige dress, sipping from a mason jar like it was tea time. She waved like we'd just come back from the grocery store. "I can explain," she said. I walked right up to her, trying hard to stay calm. "What did you do to my yard? Where's my dog?" She smiled like she was the hero in all this. "You were gone too long. The energy here, it needed help." "What the hell does that mean?" She took a breath, slow and controlled. "The balance was off. So I created a healing space. For you. For the earth. For all of us. You tore up my lawn. You stole my furniture. And you took my dog? I didn't steal him. I liberated him. He's with my cousin in La Grange. Big open fields. Lots of space to run. You were keeping him fenced in. He's my dog." I shouted. She frowned, like I was the one being unreasonable. "You're being very aggressive. That kind of energy doesn't belong here." I called the cops. When the officer arrived, he looked about ready to quit his job. He asked a few questions, looked at Amber, then back at me. She trespassed. She vandalized my yard. She took my dog. "You left town, right?" "For 2 weeks." My friend was checking in daily. The officer glanced at Amber, who was now pretending to meditate on her front porch. "You'll probably need to take this to civil court," he said. "Not criminal. She's your neighbor. Kinda complicated. I want my dog back. My grill. My furniture. She had no right." "Yeah, but there's no sign of forced entry. She didn't break into the house. You'll need a judge for this." And that's when I saw her phone. She was holding it up, maybe to scroll social media. But I caught a glimpse of something familiar. A photo. Of my backyard. I stepped closer. Is that Airbnb? She turned the screen away, quick. That's private. I grabbed it. The officer raised a hand. Hey, there it was. The Louisville Zen Retreat. $89 a night. Outdoor space only. Private meditation garden. Sand patterns and sacred stones. Pet-free, smoke-free. 4-week booking calendar full. I looked at her. You listed my yard on Airbnb? I shared it, she said calmly. I gave people peace. You took my property, turned it into a business, and kept the money? She looked me dead in the eye and said, You left a void. I filled it. That was the moment I stopped being shocked. That was the moment I got angry. I went back inside, closed the blinds, sat down, and opened my laptop. You don't just take from someone and expect them to smile. Amber was about to learn something. I wasn't just going to get my yard back. I was going to take hers. That night I couldn't sleep. My wife was pacing. She kept muttering, Who does this? Over and over. Max being gone shook her more than she let on. He was old, nearly 12, and didn't like change. I imagined him confused, scared, in some stranger's house miles away. Amber had crossed the line. But more than that, she thought she was right. That made her dangerous. I started digging. The Airbnb listing wasn't just new, it had dozens of reviews. All 5-star. Guests raved about the peaceful layout, the authentic environment, and the charming neighborhood full of spiritual energy. One even mentioned the neighbor who watches over everything like a wise guardian. She'd been doing this for months. That's when it hit me, she didn't just do this while we were gone. She'd been setting this up for a long time. She'd been planning to take my space. First thing next morning, I called Glenn. He picked up on the second ring. Hey man, how was the trip? Where's Max? He went quiet. Hi, he wasn't there when I came by yesterday. I figured maybe your wife picked him up early. No, I said. Amber took him. Took him to her cousin's. She what? She tore up our lawn, turned our backyard into some Zen nightmare, and started renting it out. You're kidding. I wish. Glenn cursed under his breath. He offered to drive to Log Range with me. Said he had the day off. I took him up on it. The cousin's place was about an hour outside the city. Rural, big open fields, like Amber said. But they didn't expect visitors. A woman answered the door with a baby on her hip and a cigarette between her lips. Can I help you? I'm looking for my dog, I said. Max Yellow Retriever. Amber said she brought him here. Oh, right. Hang on. She stepped out, whistled, and sure enough, there he was. Max. He looked thinner, tail wagging slow like he was unsure. I knelt. He came straight to me. He's been kinda off, the woman said. Doesn't eat much. Think he misses home. I didn't say anything. Just leashed him and walked back to the car. Max was coming home. But this wasn't over. I called Airbnb next. Took almost an hour to reach someone who could actually listen. I explained the situation. That my neighbor had listed my property without my consent. That she was making money off it. That I had police reports, photos, and a damn case number. The rep was polite but firm. Sir, if the host has verified control of the space, we cannot immediately remove the listing. You'll need to go through our property dispute process. That includes court orders or legal claims. She'd thought of everything. She even had documents uploaded. Diagrams. A photo of the property line with her own fence added digitally. She forged her own version of our neighborhood. I looked into property records. Our yards weren't separated by a true fence, just a row of shrubs. Years ago, we'd agreed not to put up anything permanent. Big mistake. Because now she was claiming the yard was hers. The line between our properties was blurred. And she was using that. I called a lawyer. He didn't laugh. Not once. He'd seen things like this before. She's squatting on your land with a business, he said. Start with a cease and desist. Then file for a restraining order. If she ignores those, we escalate. I didn't sleep that night either. The next morning, I delivered the cease and desist myself. Hand-delivered it to her door. She opened it, read it calmly, then set it on her little altar next to a dried sage bundle. Paper doesn't change truth, she said. I'm done playing nice. You never started playing at all. And she closed the door. The next weekend, I installed security cameras around my property. Amber came out barefoot and stood in her yard, arms crossed. You're disrupting the energy, she said. You're disrupting reality. She smirked. That night, my cameras caught two people in robes meditating in my backyard. Amber was leading them in some kind of moon ritual. Candles. Gongs. At one point, she urinated in the fire pit. I couldn't make it up if I tried. I sent the footage to my lawyer. I want everything. The yard. The damages. Every penny she made. Then you need to hit her where it hurts, he said. Financially. Publicly. And legally. I was ready. But Amber? She was just getting started. Monday morning, I got a call from my boss. Hey, sorry to bother you early, but you running some kind of retreat now? What? Had a weird call from a client. Said they saw your house listed on a travel blog. Thought maybe you were starting some side gig. I didn't even answer. Just hung up and Googled it. Sure enough, Amber had submitted the Louisville Zen Retreat to half a dozen wellness blogs. And in one of them, complete with high-res photos taken from angles that showed only my side of the yard, she was quoted directly. This land spoke to me, she'd said. When the owners left for a long spiritual journey, I took stewardship over the space. We're all just caretakers of the earth. Caretaker? She was calling herself the caretaker of my property. But that wasn't the worst part. One photo showed a couple sitting on my deck chairs. My missing deck chairs. She hadn't sold them. She was renting them out. That's when I realized she probably had more of my stuff. I checked her Airbnb listing again and started going through the guest reviews in more detail. One woman said she loved the cast iron chimney on the back patio. Another mentioned the vintage sun umbrella and matching side tables. All mine. I was pissed before. Now I was boiling. My lawyer filed the restraining order and fast-tracked a property injunction. He warned me Amber would try to fight it, and she did. Her lawyer, some guy who looked like he hadn't worn socks since 2009, tried to argue community property values and sacred stewardship. He even claimed Amber had been given verbal permission to restore the land. Complete lie. But we weren't in court yet. It would take weeks to get on the docket. In the meantime, I was stuck with her and her stream of guests. One afternoon, I came home from work to find a young couple snapping selfies under the wooden arch she'd built in front of my driveway. I asked what they were doing. They looked confused. We booked this place for a digital detox. The listing said it was hosted by someone named Amber. You're standing on my driveway. Oh, sorry? I called Airbnb again. I sent photos. Videos. The police report. The cease and desist. Everything. They finally froze her listing. It should have ended there. But Amber? She doubled down. The very next day, she put up a sign at the end of her driveway. Zen retreat closed by unbalanced forces. Donations still welcome. Below it was a glass jar with a slit cut into the lid. People still stopped. Still took pictures. Some still dropped in cash. One even left her a basket of fresh herbs and a hand-drawn mandala. That same day, my wife noticed something else. Our garden hose was missing. Then the bird feeder. Then our solar lights. Amber was stripping us. We started documenting everything. And that's when we made the decision. Not just legal action. Not just cameras. but full, public exposure. We created a website. Posted side-by-side photos of our yard before and after. Shared the Airbnb listing, the fake property map, the stolen items. We didn't use her last name, just our neighbor Amber. But it went viral locally. Reddit, Facebook, then the local news. 3 days later, a reporter knocked on our door. And 2 days after that, a city code enforcement officer came to inspect our property. Someone had filed a complaint. Guess who? Amber claimed we were harboring toxic materials and illegally installing surveillance equipment. The officer found nothing. But it was a message. She wasn't backing down. Then, just when I thought she couldn't stoop lower, we woke up one morning to find something new in the yard. A giant handmade sign nailed into the bamboo arch. Their dog was unhappy. I set him free. My wife cried when she saw it. Max was home. Safe. But this was psychological warfare. I took the sign down. Burned it in the grill I finally recovered from behind her shed. She watched me from her porch the entire time. Smiling. That sign was the last straw. Amber had dragged us through 2 months of hell. She took our yard, our things, our peace of mind. And now she was trying to rewrite history. Painting us as the villains who didn't care for our dog, who blocked her sacred mission. I stopped caring about being the bigger person. I wanted her ruined. The next week, I did 3 things. I went back to the local news. I gave them everything: the updated photos, guest testimonies from Reddit who realized they were duped, even footage from my cameras showing Amber crossing onto our property at night with a bag of tools. The reporter didn't hold back. The story ran under the headline: Louisville couple's yard stolen, turned into unauthorized Zen Airbnb. I met with city officials. My lawyer came with me. We presented documentation showing that Amber was operating a business without permits, safety inspections, or tax reporting. Turns out she had never registered anything. We also showed proof of utilities being tapped. She had run an extension cord from our side outlet into her shed. I filed a personal civil lawsuit. Damages. Lost income. Emotional distress. I included every receipt for the stolen items, the destroyed lawn, the cost of restoring the patio. We added her social media posts, the interviews she gave, the flyers she hung at the local yoga studio. My lawyer was ruthless. Then came court. She showed up in a white shawl, holding a polished rock in her palm. She told the judge she was defending the soul of the neighborhood. The judge cut her off and asked one question. Do you own this man's yard? No, she said. Did he give you permission to alter it? No, but that's all I need. The courtroom was dead silent. He ruled in our favor on every single count. She owed us nearly $28,000. The judge also ordered her to pay attorney fees, return all stolen items, and remove every single unauthorized structure she built. She protested. Sobbed. Tried to argue about energy law. Didn't work. But it didn't end there. Because while we were in court, the city was doing its job too. She was slapped with over a dozen code violations. Safety infractions. Unreported income. The IRS got involved next. Turns out she hadn't filed taxes on her Airbnb profits, over 14 months of unclaimed rental income. She tried to reopen under a new name on a different platform. Didn't work. We flagged it. So did others. Her accounts were blacklisted. And then she went quiet. It took us almost 3 months to restore the yard. New sod. Rebuilt the patio. I found our old furniture in a local resale shop and bought it back. Max? He was slower now, but he still chased squirrels and napped in his favorite spot by the porch. As for Amber, her house went up for sale 6 months later. Word spread that she had to move out of state. Couldn't pay the fines. Couldn't recover her spiritual retreat. Good. But here's the thing. I wasn't blameless either. I should have fenced the yard years ago. I should have taken clearer boundaries with a woman who clearly didn't understand them. I ignored the signs. The passive-aggressive comments. The way she watched our house like it was hers to claim. People like her don't start big. They inch forward. Until you stop them. She took my peace. So I took everything she built with it. And I made sure she could never do it again.